Yo, what is up, America and the world? It's House Divided here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That's Chad Hastings. We're going to be with you for a little while, talking all things Texas basketball, football, recruiting, baseball. We got buy or sell. Who knows? Maybe even some crazy White Lotus discussion, season 3. You never know. Matter of fact, yes, there will be a White Lotus buy or sell hotter than when it's all said and done. I've just been inspired.
Okay.
Like, comment, subscribe to the page. What up, Tracy? What up, Chris Bennett? Glad to have you guys in the Specs chat. Everybody go into the Specs chat it up. At some point, whether you're doing this live or not, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the page. We do appreciate all of those things. Comment in the comment section. I'll try to do a better job of jumping into the comment section after videos are done. There are all ways of which we can improve the product, and I realize that's probably one for me. Chad, Anwar and I did a whole show earlier today. We didn't even talk about Texas basketball at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of things that we can get into from the weekend, including a lead in my 10 thoughts from the weekend that maybe needs to be its own show at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
I bring it up because all of that came about with a random call to follow up on a basketball coach that Texas ultimately isn't going to hire. And I just started getting some responses about Texas and what they're doing behind the scenes in the world of college athletics that I've found fascinating, but we can't bury the lead. The Longhorns are good. As a matter of fact, let me check my inbox.
Yeah, double check.
Nothing new.
Nothing technically new.
Oscar did. I see. Oh, we're going right to it.
Oscar did throw a $9.99 super chat. Says, I know it's business, but it's a little cold-blooded to release a statement about how hard it was to let a guy go and then hire his replacement a few hours later. LOL. Oscar, that technically hasn't been done yet. Or at least it hasn't been acknowledged yet. But
technically,
multiple reports are out there that it is going to be Sean Miller as the new head coach of the Texas men's basketball team.
So where do we start with that piece of the discussion? Because there's a lot to unpack. It feels like the Rodney Terry, with all due respect to Oscar's super chat, that may be the most we talk about Rodney Terry in this show today.
Yeah.
It really is. It's Miller time. And what does that mean for Texas? And what about the search? How much of a search took place? Was it always going to be Sean Miller? The elephant in there's some interesting things that are in play here. Can I tell you one of the things I find most interesting?
Sure.
Ultimately, I expected this story to be broken by a newspaper person. And Paul says ESPN just announced an agreement has been reached. Honestly, Paul, like we've reported that an agreement has been reached. We're just waiting on the school to announce it at this point.
Yeah. And Paul, if you care, his Wikipedia page is updated that he's the coach at Texas. And it says it happened on the 23rd, which would be the day before we're talking, which is technically Sunday. But anyway, continue, Ken.
Nevertheless.
Yes.
I knew a newspaper guy would break the story because Cristo Conti is a newspaper guy. In fact, I think Kirk Bohls is incredibly well sourced. So, matter of fact, at higher than an 85% rate, my confidence level in Kirk Bohls being very well sourced in the men's and women's athletic department at Texas is very, very high. So when Bohls was I paid attention to what Kirk Bohls was saying from who's being mentioned as candidates for the job pretty closely. And I even said on Orange Bloods, like, hey, interesting. Keep an eye on what Bohls is reporting. I feel like Bohls has access to the bat phone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But even as of last week, Bohls wasn't really reporting Sean Miller's name. Now, Bohls was reporting a lot of the stuff that I was hearing as well, which was the NBA names, throw those out there. And there was always an acknowledgement that those would be very difficult to pull off. Those guys were in season. There were the college names, most of which A lot of those guys are still playing. I will have some stuff on Bill Self in the next couple of days. They just missed the mark on the timing with Bill Self. If this were 12 months ago or 24 months ago, the people that I talked to this weekend in Lawrence believe that Bill Self would have left for Texas. But he's got health issues. They believe, there are people at Kansas that believe he's got a 5-star guard coming in that Kansas is going to be paying more than $3 million a year next year in NIL. And that doesn't even include the shoe money that this kid is going to get. And Bill Self believes it's the best 2-guard he's ever had. And there's a lot of belief at Kansas that Bill Self is going to coach this kid, and that'll be it. That he's at that point of his career where he's really closer to the finish line than he is leaving to take another job. But I had a source tell me last week he almost left for Oklahoma State last year. Almost.
Oh, good grief.
Almost.
Okay.
He's got family from Oklahoma. His wife's from Oklahoma. They've got older family members who are in back. Like, it would have been going back home. And it didn't happen because Kansas was like, look, what do you need? Let's make you happy. But like, there would have been a point where a guy like Bill Self would have been on the table for Texas. Just, it wasn't this year. And timing is everything in these hires. But I found it interesting that Bowles wasn't really pushing the Sean Miller thing. And look, I wasn't really either because my sources were specifically not mentioning Sean Miller. Now, what's really interesting about this is we know that Sean Miller is a guy that CDC likes and that was on the short list 2 years ago should Rodney Terry have not been hired.
Yeah, and we mentioned his name along the way. I remember.
No. I'm not saying he wasn't ever considered a thought because his name was out there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always at the forefront of the names. To such an extent, I feel like the year that Herman got fired, Del Conte trial ballooned a few things unofficially. James Franklin's name kind of comes up.
Oh, I remember that.
Mario Cristobal's name comes up. And every time he trial ballooned a guy, unofficially, right? I'm not saying that Chris Del Conte, I'm not saying he directly trial ballooned this, but these things don't happen by accident. It's like, let's get a feel for the pulse of the way people react about possibilities. And in both the case of Cristobal and Franklin, they lost literally 48 hours, less than 48 hours after their names popped up. They lost. In Cristobal's case, they lost to Oregon State. And in James Franklin's case, they lost to everybody because in the pandemic year, Penn State just never got off the ground. So I just found it interesting that we never saw a Sean Miller trial balloon. But it's pretty clear he was the guy. I was told by a source that I trust in the athletic department that the basketball coaching thing was super vetted, that all of the work was already done. And I had a source tell me yesterday that he knew it was going to be Sean Miller and was kind of comfortable with it after he knew that all of the guys that he liked more weren't available, that it just wasn't going to happen for whatever, whether it was buyouts. Like, I know that they like Nate Oates, but that guy is going to cost $20 million-ish to get out of his situation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still coaching.
And he's still got games to deal with.
There's just, for the time, Texas is convinced that Sean Miller is the guy, is the right guy, and is the best that they could get. And
I think the timing issue is key, Catch, because realize that Will Wade situation where he's coaching at McNeese, but everybody knows he's going to NC State and it got out. That is so rare.
Yeah.
Like, guys are not going to do that while you're trying to work your way, especially if you're in Nate Oates' situation. You're a number 1 seed. There's no way you're entertaining.
You can't approach that guy at all, and he can't be seen. Like, you just
no.
And then if you do wait that long, and it's like Texas sure is waiting a long time to make a hire, then people start to realize it's got to be somebody who's still coaching, because otherwise, why would they not have made a hire? And then they start asking questions whether or not a guy's a candidate or not. And eventually you will get every coach on the record being asked about Texas. It's complicated. So What's your initial reaction on Sean Miller? And I'll tell you mine.
I think my initial reaction was it feels really solid as a hire, but it also feels like what we talked about in, do you want to go to the group of guys that's gotten in trouble for stuff that you're okay with it now because the legality of the stuff changed? Sean Miller was a part of the FBI investigation, the DeAndre Ayton.
But in the end, never charged with anything.
That's correct. Correct. In the end, he was one of the head coaches that it was determined didn't know anything. I'm just going to leave that there. We'll pivot over here.
Hey, so technically, that man wasn't charged with a crime, and the NCAA didn't punish him.
There you go. Didn't know a thing as the head coach at Arizona. Completely realistic. Now, but when you dig down to it, Catch, what they were involved in is really simple. What they were involved in technically is still illegal, but we all know it's real, which is, hey, if you come here, here's what our NIL looks like. There's this discussion out there that you can't incentivize. I've talked about it plenty of times. I think that's stupid. Of course you incentivize. It happens all the time in other walks of life. Somehow this version of life doesn't want to deal with that. And technically it's frowned upon or whatever. But this investigation found that, Arizona was doing this. He was the head coach at the time. Ultimately in 21, they fire him, goes back to Xavier, continues to be a really good coach. So to me, Catch, he's in the group with Kelvin.
They fired him at Arizona because he flamed out and stopped being a great coach or a very good coach.
Right. They weren't having the kind of seasons they wanted. And
3 straight non-tournament seasons, and it was time to go.
Yeah, the controversy happened in like the 17-18 window. He was fired in 21. You're right. Things had slipped a little bit. But to me, he's kind of in that group with a Bruce Pearl and a Kelvin Sampson. I think he's a good basketball coach. He's been connected to things that are a little sleazy, but A, it's a sleazy sport, and B, some of the sleazy stuff is allowed now. So that was my reaction. He's in that group that we told Texas to maybe look in, which is, hey, in the end, is he a good basketball coach? And can you live with whatever the past was? And clearly Texas can.
You ever meet a person who's afraid of snakes?
Yes.
Like if they see a grass snake, it might as well be a king cobra.
Mm-hmm.
That's what college basketball is. And at some point you have to be comfortable with who's your snake. And look, we know with Chris Beard, had Texas handled that differently, which is to say kind of, well, we're going to wait and see what the law does. And are they going to press charges? And, there's a world out there where Chris Beard's still at Texas. And what Texas has decided is he's a liar. He likely put his hands on a woman, but we can live with that kind of snake. Look, Rick Barnes had stuff that was said about him the moment he arrived at Texas. Not all of it was great. Not most people like Rick, but like Rick's a snake. They all are. And so it's a matter of what level of snake are you comfortable with? Like they just are. It's men's college basketball.
Yeah, it's dirty.
It's always funny to me when I hear Texas fans go after Scott Drew at Baylor. It's like, I don't know what he's done. It's probably dirty to some extent because it's all dirty. I mean,
that's I've never heard that analogy thrown out, but I'm imagining myself, Catch, walking into the snake house at the zoo. Like you've walked into one of those, right? There's a feeling in the snake house. It doesn't feel like the gorilla enclosure. It doesn't feel like the bird sanctuary.
It feels like a college basketball coaching convention.
It doesn't feel like the penguin exhibit. It feels like the snake house. Even if you love snakes, it feels like the snake house. That is a terrific analogy. And it's about trying to find one of the cuter snakes.
It is.
In the snake house.
Because I see a grass snake and I think it's cute.
Yes.
But there are people who literally will pass out if you dangled a grass snake in front of them. So I get it. There are people who are queasy about all this stuff. I'll be honest. The Arizona stuff with Sean Miller doesn't pop into my head at all. It doesn't even register because, God, I mean, it's just It's men's college basketball. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I will say with me for Sean Miller, I think Sean Miller, well, let's start here. He's a massive upgrade of Rodney Terry. And if you want to look at the bottom line, Rodney Terry has a career win percentage of 538. It's barely above 500 as a coach. And without, he won 43% of his games at UTEP, and he won 53% of his games at Fresno. Like, that's Texas hired.
Yep. How about Sean Miller?
Sean Miller's way over 70%.
I was gonna say it's 7 out of 10 without breaking a sweat.
That's who he is. 8 Sweet 16s, 4 Elite 8s. Like, he is at every level better than Rodney Terry. And if Chris Del Conte wants to go, well, look, our basketball program wasn't bad under Rodney Terry, but it wasn't up to the standard by which we want to coach at. But we think with what we have as a program and what all of the stuff that comes with Texas basketball, that Sean Miller level of coach can take us where we want to go. It's an argument I'll at least listen to, and I understand where they're coming from. I think Sean Miller is a damn good coach. Why do I think that? For a lot of the reasons why I think Shaka Smart is a damn good coach. You're talking about a guy that's gone to multiple programs and achieved success. You're talking about a guy that's made deep NCAA. Guys that make Elite 8 and Final Four tournament runs, like that doesn't happen by accident. And the other thing is when you do it at multiple programs, and Sean Miller has been to a Sweet 16 at multiple programs. When you do that, like, it's a sign that you're not an accident. So Sean Miller's very good everywhere he goes. And is a major upgrade, I think, of Rodney Terry, who I think was pretty mid.
Yeah. I also think it's important, Catch, that I would put Sean Miller above Shaka Smart because he proved it at a bigger program.
I would as well, and I would put him above. I would put a guy like Rick Barnes ahead of Shaka Smart, right?
Yeah. Yes.
The issue is Sean Miller's not great. What you eventually learn is that there aren't a lot of great coaches. There are a lot of very good, damn good coaches. Really. Buzz Williams is a damn good coach, and yet you'll hear some people talk about him in the A&M program like he's a bum. There's this, it's as if you can't get to great, you're a bum. You're either bum or you're a great. And that when you look at Sean Miller as a coach, his last 7 seasons as a head coach, which 3 of those are at Arizona, 4 of those are at Xavier. In 4 of his last 7 seasons, he didn't make the NCAA tournament. Only once in his last 7 seasons has he made a Sweet 16. You are not catching Sean Miller in his prime. You are catching him at the end of what you hope is a lull. That what he needs, what you're hoping is that he's Kelvin Sampson 2.0. Yep. That what you've got is a guy that's unquestionably damn good at worst. And Sampson is a perfect guy to point at because I think he went 9 consecutive seasons across multiple programs. 3, if I'm not mistaken, it would have been his final couple of seasons at Oklahoma, the 2 seasons at Indiana, and then going into the Houston job. It was a string of seasons where he hadn't gone to a Sweet 16. And now they've done that 5 years in a row, and they might win a national championship this year, and everybody believes Kelvin Sampson is great. But for a long time, people were like, you're hiring Kelvin Sampson? Really? The guy that ended up flaming out at Oklahoma, ended up not working at Indiana for a myriad of reasons. Like, everybody knew he was good, but I don't think a lot of people thought he was great. Texas is gambling. That the Sean Miller that did all of that damage at Arizona a decade ago isn't too old, hasn't forgotten his ways, and that just needs the platform the way Rick Barnes has at Tennessee. Just need a fresh start. Fresh start, right situation, right time, boom. You're in Sweet 16s, you're in Elite 8, you're competing at a very, very high level. My biggest concern about Sean Miller is less of the 7 seasons that he hasn't gone to a Sweet 16 but once. Because I think that happens, man. Bill Self's only been to 116, Sweet 16 in the last 6 years. Now, the one that he made, he won a national championship. But I talked to Kansas people this weekend. Like, they are upset at Bill Self. I mean, that man, he's won some things. And he's in a little bit of a rut. My biggest concern with Sean Miller is that he has not proven himself to be, I think, a true plus head coach, program builder. And what I think the last 5 years has become the new era of college basketball. In the NIL era, you don't build 4-year rosters. You don't bring in guys and then develop them, and then in their 4th years. I mean, that happens once every blue moon. But really, in this current era of college basketball, what you have to be able to do is prove that you can rebuild a program in the span of a year, go get new guys, and then you have to be able to prove. And this is why the hire of Chris Beard was such a good hire. Everybody knew that he was a great coach, but what he specialized in was every year I can start from scratch and I'll build a team that can compete for a Sweet 16 or better. That's what made Chris Beard such a great hire. My biggest concern with Sean Miller is that in this new era, there's zero proof. Now, look, you could say that he's been at Xavier and they can't swing a big stick the way that he will at Texas to some degree. And so it's not exactly fair, but he wasn't winning conference championships at Xavier. He didn't win the conference. He didn't win the conference tournament. He had good teams. Almost didn't make the tournament this year. In fact, Sean Miller is a coin flip away. Like, if Texas beats Xavier instead of the other way around, I think Rodney Terry still loses his job, but they can't hire Sean Miller.
No.
So I find myself, I think he's damn good. But I think people get upset about damn good. And guys, I see your super chats. We'll go to those in just a second. His recent track record is pretty mid. Like, there's just no getting around. He's being hired off of everything that he did in his heyday at Arizona and not really off of anything that he's done in the last decade-ish. It's a big risk, I think. I don't think it's a guarantee on the box in terms of Texas winning at the highest level. I tend to look at Sean Miller and think over the course of the next 5 or 6 seasons, he'll get to a couple of Sweet 16s, maybe an Elite 8. And is that enough for Texas fans? Because that's damn good in college basketball.
Yeah,
that's better than what Texas has done in the last half generation of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Is it enough for Texas basketball that a couple of Sweet 16s in the next 6 years, can they live with that? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Does he get the Sweet 16 in year 1 and then 4 years go by and it hasn't happened? That feels like hot seat city to me. Like, I don't know. Texas basketball fans are a bit myopic as it relates to who they are and what their demands are and how easy it is to either get there or not get there, because I think it's really hard. And I think Bill Self and I think the Kentucky program I think we know John Calipari's good, but he hasn't been to but one Final Four in the last decade. And that's Coach Cal at Kentucky. So I just don't know. Like, when I hear Texas fans talk about basketball, it sounds like they want Kentucky results, but the real Kentucky results. And Sean Miller is not going to do that. Sean Miller is going to be very good. And I don't know that will make – I don't know. There's a part of me that wonders, Chad, is this what the next 30 years of Texas basketball looks like? They occasionally live in the world of very good. Mostly they never quite hit the heights that they want because the heights are so high. And they just chase their tail, because what they'll never be able to be is kind of what Rick Barnes had them at, which is you're making the tournament every year. And although Barnes hit a rut where he just stopped going to the Sweet 16, I think he would eventually got there with enough attempts. But I don't think that's high enough, and so I don't know. I also don't know if people don't like Sean Miller, who are you going to get? Because the people that I talk to would seem to indicate whoever it is you think they should have gotten, they don't think the dynamics existed for that move to be made.
We do see a couple super chats. Paul ATX Bates, we will get to you real quick. Let's start thanking some of our great partners. Ketch mentioned gambling on a head coach. You want to get a little gambling going with some online poker? It's hijackpoker.com. Get that app, put on any device you want. You can deposit and cash out at any one of the 6 Texas Card House locations. There are also other easy ways for you to deposit there and get going. You might end up at a virtual table with the one and only Jeff Ketchum. Hijack Poker.
I'm playing right now, Chad.
He's playing right now. Alex Dunlap could be playing right now. You never know. Get on in there. Hijackpoker.com. Let's hit these super chats, and I'll start with Paul because I think I saw it first. Paul, $4.99. His last 3 years at Arizona were clouded with the FBI controversy. He did have an assistant coach arrested and go to jail. Paul, a lot of that story ended up as assistant coaches and getting in trouble, and there was some jail. There was definitely some jail time. Head coaches seem to be shielded from things.
All I care about is the bottom line, man. Like, you know, because sometimes excuses are just the reasons why something happened. The bottom line is, like, he has not achieved the minimal levels of success that Texas aspires to very often recently in his career. Texas isn't hiring the hot guy, but Shaka Smart was the hot it guy, and that didn't work.
Right. And the other thing that really hurt him, Paul, think about the timing. 17-18 is that investigation time. He got fired in 21. 21's the year NIL happened. So we don't know what it looks like for Sean Miller to be a basketball coach when you can put stuff on top of the table. We have no idea. Sean Miller lived in that other world of college basketball. But now guys like Kelvin Sampson and Bruce Pearl and others have gotten Calipari, get to play in this version of Rick Barnes, all of them. It's like, oh, we get to put some of this on top of the table and talk about it like adults now. Cool. Now we're going to see.
And he didn't have that at Xavier. It wasn't like.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't have, right. He barely had it. I mean, I guess these last few at Xavier, a little bit different. But I'm saying in terms of a program that matters, Arizona was a program that mattered. Now he's back at one that matters, or it should in men's basketball. Now let's see what he looks like in this version.
You ever seen someone go to the dollar? Like, because here's the thing. Texas fans are so mad about this piece of what I reported on the basketball front over the weekend, Chad. This irks Texas fans a lot.
Okay.
Texas is kind of mid-level on the NIL front, on the basketball side of things. And that is likely going to continue. Texas has a hard time. I know you guys hear this and you roll your eyes because you get told this stuff, but then you look and you're like, well, Texas played in the Final Four last year, so they must not have trouble raising money. And it's like, yeah, no, I get why you would think that. But in reality, it's expensive. And it's not as easy as the money will always be there. And sorry, someone raised me in poker, Chad.
Oh, well,
and so I just stopped for a second.
Y'all got to stop. Please stop raising Catch in the middle of his points. What have I told you, online poker players? Come on.
So, oh God, I ended up hitting 2 pair aces and nines, Chad, and I'm knocked out of the tournament because pocket queens flopped a set of queens.
Oh dear God!
You can't be mad. Sometimes you have a nice hand, and sometimes the other guy has a better hand, and now you have my complete and undivided attention. My $10.
Sometimes you get beat by 4 queens. Good grief!
3. It was 3. It was just 3.
Oh, just 3. Okay, 3 of a kind.
But on the NIL front, like, let's start here. Kansas Bill Self, in each of the last 2 years, has been given the most NIL money of any coach in the country. He's been getting about $7 million a year. Okay. They're giving this guy that's a high school kid, the prep kid, $3 million by himself next year. So they've got that in NIL. And when the settlement money kit comes in, I'm told there's a good chance that they're going to get about $5 million of that, which I've been told puts the KU football coaches completely on tilt, because the rest of the Big 12 is not going to do what Kansas is doing in terms of giving 1/4 of their kitty that they're allowed to spend on NIL as an athletic department to basketball.
Yeah. That means you're saying, to be clear, you're saying they're going to add the $5 million to the 7 you already mentioned?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they're going to be, they got like 12.5-ish that they'll be building a team with every single year. Texas will probably be in the middle of that. First of all, I don't know yet what the distribution of basketball versus football, and that if they've got less than 21 million to split up amongst all the programs. I've been told that football is going to get 17 plus of that. I don't know how it all is going to work out amongst the other programs, but basketball is probably not getting more than 3. I don't think they're getting 3. Right. I think it might be 2.5, 3-ish.
And just to compare, Catch, I just read an article, ironically, about Chris Beard going to Ole Miss, and I saw a couple of interesting numbers. That Calipari at Arkansas, their estimated numbers like 5 million, and then an Ole Miss spokesperson said they're competitive with that number. So just to give people an idea of the kind of money that's going around other SEC.
That number is going to increase.
Yeah.
Because the settlement money will add to that.
Yep, great point.
So Kansas has been, and I think Texas is, look, Trey Johnson did not come to Texas because they offered him coupons to the Dollar Tree. Like, Trey Johnson got hooked up. I don't know what his number is, but he got paid. I think, Texas has been competitive in the portal, but they haven't shopped at the top end of the portal. And I think, money's a big part of that. Texas had to make a hire. The thing is, if you go to the NBA and you're talking to Quinn Snyder, or you're trying to sell Billy Donovan on a return to college, those dudes aren't coming back unless they're at the top end. And Texas struggles to create money in NIL for football. They do not have a donor base who has been excited about NIL at all. It's less than 5 guys. You'd probably take a couple of fingers away. And none of them are like the Walmart family. It's not like they all have so much money that there's they're doing the heavy lifting, but it's kind of a handful of guys that have handled NIL for Texas. Bless their hearts. And look, to their credit, they've been paid off on their investment. Texas has been fantastic. But Texas behind the scenes knows, man, it's been pulling teeth. In the last couple of years, Chad, they've taken the most affluent donors. Oh, my God.
Stuff in the yard?
Directly parked across the street from us.
Yes.
Is a power line guy.
Oh, that's going to cost.
And they have the ladder that's the
bucket.
He's in the bucket.
Yeah.
Which means my dogs are watching him in a bucket soar into the sky. I can't control what happens the rest of the show.
No, they will definitely react to that. We do see 3 super chats in here.
Can I just real quick finish my point?
Yeah,
I know I'm going on about this, but
we see the super chats. We'll get to them.
They have in the last couple of years for football. Guys, hear me. For football. Texas has gone to Vail. If I think I have that right. It's like one of those
Vail or Aspen.
Aspen.
Maybe?
It might have been Aspen.
I think it was Aspen.
It was. I think they went to Aspen. They collected all of their biggest donors. Del Conte and all the head coaches showed up, especially Sark. But I think Terry would have been there, but maybe not all of them, but definitely Sark, right? And they put the hard pitch on, guys, this is where the sport is going. This is what we're going to need to be competitive. We need your help. We're in Aspen. We're giving you a good time. Why don't you go to the spa? We got your treatments. And they left. And none of those dudes want to give to NIL, no matter how hard of a sell Texas makes, no matter how hard they try, no matter what resort town they go to. Affluent Texas football fans have not been clamoring to give money for NIL. It's just not happening. They can't get it for football. What they couldn't do is be ridiculous about basketball. They couldn't. So they can't go after a Billy Donovan and then tell Billy Donovan we're going to spend what Kansas spends in NIL. It's not going to happen. It's not. But you can go to a Sean Miller and say, you'll probably have like a budget of about $5 or $6 million a year minimum, because here's what you're going to get on the settlement. And this is kind of what we've been able to do in NIL, and we feel comfortable with that. Yeah. And look, if you're a great coach,
that'll feel huge coming from Xavier.
He'll be like, wait a minute. This is what I was about to say. Yeah. You give somebody that shops at Dollar Tree $100 bill, they're like, wait a minute. Do you know what I can do with $100? They look like Jim Carrey coming out of the convenience store in Dumb and Dumber. They got ping pong paddles and all kinds of stuff. But do you know when you shop at Saks and somebody gives you $100, people are like, well, this is a down payment on a shirt, but I can't even buy a piece of clothing. So for Sean Miller, he feels like he's coming up in the world. He will look at this job and say, it's one of the 10 best jobs in college basketball. They got a new arena. They're in the SEC. Like, they've not had so much success that anything I do will be this. And quite the opposite. If he has massive success, he'll be thought of as the guy that rebuilt Texas basketball in a way that Steve Sarkisian gets credit for on the football side. So I think they will feel like they got the right guy because they got the right guy for their environment. And I just think there are a lot, I know we got the super chats, but there are a lot of Texas fans that do not want to hear that they are mid when it comes to basketball infrastructure, NIL. That doesn't mean they're poor. That doesn't mean that they can't afford a guy like Trey Johnson. It means they will never spend the amount of money that Kentucky or Kansas or a Duke and probably a North Carolina. Like, there's just, those programs are always going to spend more unless Texas finds a benefactor who is going to give money to the basketball program in a way that the football program has not been able to find.
Super chats are there. Let's grab them here. ATX Bates earlier with a $4.99. The Texas brand is bigger than any one coach. Beard had to go. Stop it. I feel like we jumped into the middle of a conversation. Sark might survive something similar today, but not mid-season year one. Guess it was a conversation going on about Beard earlier in the chat.
Hey, man, if Sark were to get arrested for a physical altercation with L'Oreal Sarkisian, I don't know that it ends any differently. Like, wow. I hate to even say that out loud, but only because it's like Sark might survive something similar today. Do you know how big of a story that would be?
Yeah.
Texas basketball was protected by the fact that it actually is Texas basketball. But trust me, the head basketball coach at North Carolina, that story happens, it is 1A on First Take in a way that, like, no disrespect, but like Texas basketball can't be that.
Yeah. ATX Bates, thanks as always for that. Another one from Bates. Thank you for $4.99. If RT was coaching when Charlie was, RT would have been fine. But when Sark, women's basketball, softball, baseball, all top five, you can't, I'm assuming that's you can't be the dumpster fire.
I think this is the Connie Clark discussion. And I have to say, full transparency, I'm a big Connie Clark fan. And personally, I had a few in like personal involvements with Connie Clark, and she was just always gold with me. So like, I've always really liked Connie Clark as a human being, but kind of mid as the softball coach at Texas. They weren't doing anywhere close to what they're doing now. Not even when they had Cat. Like, it just felt like it was Cat and a whole bunch of people were tagging along. But the rest of the programs weren't elite. The women's basketball program was floundering, right? So you were in a situation where Del Conte's got this thing soaring, where if any of the programs struggle at all, you do look like a bastard. It's like, what the hell's wrong? Well, they only finished in the top 10 nationally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're kind of taking it for granted now because volleyball is always competing for national championships, and the track programs have won national championships, and the basketball is a 1 seed in trying. You know what I mean? Like Mike White has got this program in the top 2 in the country, and they swept another ranked team this weekend by a combined score of 32-9. They don't just beat people, by the way. The Texas softball team, like they pinata people. So just shout out to that program. But when all those things do that, you can't slump. And I think ATX base may be right that RT making the tournament and not winning might have been survivable in a world where the baseball program is floundering a little bit, the football program is floundering a little bit, and suddenly you look like not the cream of the crop, but not bottom of the barrel either. And that's what Rodney was fighting against. Everybody that follows Texas athletics felt like Rodney Terry was the worst coach on campus. And in general, that's a harsh thing to say, but the levels are so high that it's probably true. And I will say this, Sean Miller doesn't show up, and he's no slouch. Like, he can take his resume and slap it on the dinner table. And, I don't think I have to worry about sitting at the kids' table. He'll have to win immediately at Texas to keep people from framing him as somebody that needs, because the moment, if he goes 2 consecutive seasons, Chad, without a Sweet 16, people are going to be like, it's been a decade. You know what I mean? He will carry, Texas fans will, in their anger, they will weaponize his baggage if the way they did with Rodney, if they're unhappy. So it's imperative, I think, that Sean Miller start well. He needs year 1. He really needs to make the Sweet 16. And then I think he can kind of write his own chapter and people will get behind him. But I don't know if he goes 2 years without, I don't think he loses his job in 2 seasons. They won't do that again. You only get one of those, really. But if Sean Miller hasn't made the Sweet 16 after year 2, he will be a little bit on the hot seat. Just because Texas will be thirst trapping for success to such a degree that I think their patience is wearing thin, especially when Chris Beard is doing what he's doing at Ole Miss. Guys, I'm going to just say this real quick. Don't ever mention karma to me. Don't ever say things like he'll get his. It all catches up in the end. I'm a big believer in karma. Chris Beard's in the Sweet 16. Don't tell me about karma. There's no such thing. Karma works when our confirmation bias tells us it's worked. We never bring up karma when a scumbag just goes to another program, never really has any real accountability for any of his actions. Nobody ever really asks the tough questions like, hey, whatever happened to that tape that you told the police you had that was exonerate you? Like, where's that? What was that? Did you lie, or did that exist? And then they go and have success and get propped up the way Chris Beard will get propped up being in the Sweet 16 this weekend. It's disgusting. I don't ever want to hear about karma again because Chris Beard's not in the Sweet 16 today. And Rodney Terry's not jobless if karma has anything to do with anything ever. So there, got that off my chest.
Barb's 10 with a $9.99 super chat. Miller beat Texas and RT head-to-head. No better example of what have you done for me lately, right? He's getting paid based on experience. Not many take a pay cut for a new job. He's not taking a pay cut to come to Texas, is he?
$5 million a year, man. He ain't taking a pay cut.
Yeah, no, that's not a pay cut, Barb's. And I'm not sure where that was going there.
Xavier was not paying his basketball coach $5 million a year.
No. Thank you for the super chat as always.
Do you know someone posted this on Orange Bloods, and boy, I cringed because Sean Miller does have the head-to-head advantage over Rodney Terry. Do you know what Sean Miller's record against Shaka Smart is?
Sean Miller's record against Shaka Smart.
All time. Eight games.
8 games. I'm going to say he's 3-5.
2-6.
Oh, I gave him one too many. I can feel like
that was going somewhere.
I knew it was headed south.
Say 2-6 out loud for nothing.
I just thought I'm going to go south. I feel like this one's headed south, but I didn't go far enough south. Damn, 2-6. Okay, so whatever.
And you know what? I don't view that as an indictment because I don't look at Shaka Smart as the abysmal disaster that everybody else does. I mean, he was literally NCAA Coach of the Year in the last 24 months. You know, so he's good. He's just not great.
So what you're saying is if Texas gets to the tournament next year, just hope that Marquette is not the
No. Well, that might be like two things that collide and the world ends. That might actually be the sign of the apocalypse upon us. But Sean Miller's kryptonite hasn't historically been the NCAA tournament. Although, I don't know. They both – it's weird. Shaka won, 5 games in his first NCAA tournament. He still has 5 other NCAA tournament wins. They just didn't occur – at Texas.
Right. He did not. No.
So, I don't know. We're going to get that. Shaka's going to have Marquette in the tournament every year. That we will get Shaka against Sean Miller in the tournament in the next 5 years. Absolutely will happen.
Yeah. And that's another thing when you were talking about kind of that bar, we always talk about the bar and expectations. If I'm a Texas fan right now, the very beginning of the discussion is just get into the tournament without drama. That would be my first step as a fan. Get to the tournament without drama. Like Texas Tech is a 3 seed in this tournament. A&M was a 4. Like get into the tournament, no doubt about it. Be one of those kind of teams. Be a 1 through, what's a good acceptable? 1 through 5 seed. Be a 1 through 5. That's 20 teams. Be one of those teams. That I think is a fair, bottom line. If I was a Texas basketball fan today talking to Sean Miller, dude, please get us to the tournament where I'm not having to look at Joe Lunardi's. I've probably checked that Lunardi thing a million times the last 2 or 3 years because of where Rodney Terry had that program.
Every year.
I just have to check it too damn much. But you know what I haven't done in a while? The women's version. I don't even know what the dude's name is. I have no clue. There's a women's version of bracketology. I never have to look it up to wonder if Texas is in it. Ever. I haven't had to do it since Vic took that job. All right. We do have another quick super chat here from Hooked on the Horns. $5. The baseball and softball teams went tiger hunting this weekend. That's absolutely true, Hooked. Obviously, baseball took the series from LSU, and softball was Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. The team Catch was referencing. Shout out to both those teams playing really, really well right now. All right, we got a couple other chats we'll hit. If you want to get a super chat in, it'll go right to the top.
Did you watch any of the baseball?
I did not watch a lot of the baseball, no.
I figured you wouldn't. I mean, no offense to Texas baseball, but there were a lot of things going on this weekend, and given the Texas A&M baseball thing, I could understand an A&M fan saying, all things being equal, I'm okay without living through Texas and LSU this weekend. But
it wasn't even really that for me. This weekend, I really tried to focus in on the basketball tournament. I've been one of those cynical fans that rips college basketball year in and year out after the last few years. So I really tried to focus in and get, immerse myself in the tournament. So I was just really focused on college hoops this weekend and got some good entertainment out of it and got some pretty good basketball out of it.
My bracket, can I tell you both real quick? My men's bracket, kind of mid. I got 11 of the Sweet 16, and all of my Final Fours are still alive, which I've had worse brackets. But going into today, I'm leading the Orange Bloods women's bracket contest. Number 1, baby.
There you go.
First is what it says in the upper right-hand corner, as opposed to 144th.
I like it. That's very good. Well done. Well done. All right, let's do some thanking here, and let me just remind you once again about Deep Eddy Vodka. Not just the vodka itself, but that Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. I talked to a couple people the last few days, still haven't tried that pineapple, but remember, it's out there. 9 different flavors, including that new pineapple flavor. It's out there, it's available, and most importantly, they're making up some of these incredible cocktails with the pineapple. I still need to get out there and try the pineapple versions. I haven't been able to do that. Please get out there and tell me what it's like. Thursdays through Sundays at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Make sure you pair it up with some of that great barbecue from the Crimson Creek Smokehouse. It's the food truck right on site. You order on your phone. They'll tell you when it's ready. You walk up to the front bar area, pick up your food. It's a great setup out there, indoor and outdoor seating. Take advantage of some of this great spring weather and get out to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. So good. Also, just to clean off a couple of chats, I like this one from Tom G. Says, I'm glad we have a coach who has an elite offensive identity. Tom, for you and all Texas basketball fans watching this today, I hope you're right.
Is that who Sean Miller is, though? He
is known as more of an offensive guy.
Now, I know that.
And whether
but is he known as an elite offensive guy?
I think Tom G is having the word elite, maybe do some heavy lifting. But Tom, I've said it for years. I think y'all have gone through way too much time where you do not know what play got called.
And when you go into a timeout, you don't know that a play got called.
Exactly. And I just hope that you can you start to feel a little more, again, not swing. You don't have to swing it all the way to Penders. You don't have to go all the way that far. Just feel like there's an offensive mindset going on. Maybe this is your guy. The thing I like about Sean Miller's resume, I like regular season conference titles, 4 Pac-12s at Arizona, 3 A-10 regular season titles at Xavier. And Ketch mentioned some of the numbers. 12 of his 15 teams that get into the tournament advance past the first round. 4 of them got to the Sweet 16. 5 of them got to the Elite 8. The guy advances in the tournament when he gets there. So that's what you got to hope. And Tom, offense does it. All of us old men that like to say defense wins championships, not in college basketball. It doesn't. That just nobody's ever talked about that. Remember that team that won a national title in college basketball? They were terrible on offense and all they did was just D you up. Man, it doesn't exist. It does not exist. So stop talking about it. We've had a couple get close, but not really. Nobody really goes on sustained runs just by playing D and trying to beat people 50-48. That doesn't work.
Hey, Chad, before I have to stop what we're doing because that's what I do.
Yes.
I interrupt you with just something completely random.
It's never happened.
I cannot not share this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a spoiler in the sense of a spoiler. But I just learned a piece of White Lotus casting news.
White Lotus casting news. Okay. As in someone who's gonna appear on the show?
Yes.
In the last 2 episodes?
Yes.
Okay.
The husband that Rick is going to see, that character's going to be performed by Scott Glenn. I have no idea what's happening in that last 2 episodes, but I know that we're adding Scott Glenn to the Sam Rockwell Baby Billy mix.
I'll say I get those 2 plus Scott Glenn.
Yes.
That's good. That, with all due respect to that woman who is pretty fantastic, she could kind of just step out of the way and let's see those 3 go
to an end. And I'm excited now.
That is incredible. Catch, quick question from Calvin. Any idea on a presser for Sean Miller? Have you heard anything?
I mean, I thought we would already have the announcement. I thought the announcement will come today. So I think a press conference in the next. I'd be surprised if this goes on beyond Wednesday. So I think this thing will happen pretty quickly.
Yeah, Calvin, I'd be shocked if a Sweet 16 game tips off without him having done it.
And they won't want to do that, and they'll want.
You want to take advantage of the
open. So there's work to do now.
Yeah, but take advantage of the energy of the tournament. Don't wait till games start though, because then everybody's distracted. It's the window of right now while we're talking to Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
That's your window right there. Well, I guess you could technically do it Thursday morning if you wanted to.
But you're getting overshadowed as soon as the first game tips off.
Yeah, I'd let that. Yeah, I'd let it marinate for a day. Wednesday afternoon is what I would shoot for, but we will see. That is true. And Rex,
if I had to handicap it, I would still say tomorrow is most likely.
Yeah, Rex, you're absolutely right. Virginia did win a title, and they did play that way. You are absolutely correct. As far as like sustained success, where the team is just continuously badass, that's not how I would do business in college hoops. The boring version is not going to win consistently. I'd rather have more.
And nobody will show up at Moody to watch it, no matter how successful they are. They want to be entertained.
Yeah, do not try. If Sean Miller showed up at his presser this week and says, I'm going to try to do what Tony Bennett does at Virginia, media members are going to walk out. They will walk out. Hey, you know those great Wisconsin teams? That's what my goal. No, that is not what needs to happen at all. Let's see. Did I get this super chat? No, we didn't. Mark with a $4.99 super chat. If Miller doesn't work, my gut few, they hire Royale Ivy. What is y'all's take?
One of these days, Royal Ivy's going to become a head basketball coach in the NBA, and this ship's just going to sail. Like I think that window's been missed.
Yeah, somebody else, our man Sal in New York City earlier said Royale Ivy got the shaft. Be interested to see if that would be. I don't know if that's it. If this doesn't work out, but
I think it's hard to hire Royale Ivy after you've hired Rodney Terry. The one thing Sean Miller is a bit of a guarantee on the box. You don't have to babysit Sean Miller and wonder if he's going to do a good job. He's going to do a good job. He's damn good. He's just, I don't think Texas fans get impressed by damn good. Or they think damn good means something that it doesn't, that they think somehow damn good is higher than the great. And it's just like, no, it's just that step from damn good to great is the tough one, man.
By the way, Catch, this is a good read on something from Big Chet. It says, my guess CDC is waiting until after the women's game that's starting in 5 minutes. He doesn't want to deter from
that's
the
probably
women.
Fair.
Yeah, it's not going to happen today. As we talk on this Monday, it's the day Texas women are playing in the second round at home at Moody Center in the middle of the day. They need to get as many eyeballs on that thing as they can. So yes, they're not going to do that today. That is why a Tuesday or Wednesday press conference will make all the sense in the world, I think, for Sean Miller. If you guys want to send us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. Catch, I do have a fun fact for you today in regards to Sean Miller. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here's something I didn't know when I woke up today. May be helpful for some of you fans, especially you older fans. If you're an older college basketball fan, there's a moment in college basketball that created the phrase, send it in Jerome. A man named Jerome Lane dunked a basketball and shattered the backboard. He did it for Pitt. Do you know who threw him the ball? Sean Miller did.
I do know. I do now. You just like I led you somewhere with that 2 and 6. I know you were so he's the
right.
Send it in, Jerome.
Sean Miller. So I was reading up on the bio and I realized, he's at Pitt. And they mentioned Jerome Lane as his teammate. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Was he on that team? Catch, in 87, 88, Sean Miller was a freshman, like Big East All Player of the Year, I think is what he was. The Big East. It would have been the Big East for them, I guess, at that point. He was Conference Freshman of the Year. He was the point guard as a freshman. And when they break when they get that break going that creates the dunk, he is the one that dishes off to Lane. He slams it. Bill Raftery screams, send it in, Jerome. And college basketball history is made. I just didn't know it was Sean Miller that threw him the ball. So there's your goofy fact, Texas fans, about your new men's basketball coach. He's the assist on send it in, Jerome. That's pretty cool. So
I'm going to go YouTube that.
Yeah, it's great. And then watch the video through, Catch, until there's a couple shots where they show it coming up the floor and you get to see the baby-faced Sean Miller dishing the ball off. It's pretty good. We're obviously talking about that today. It's not official, but it's going to be very fast. Over the weekend was when
if he's not the next head coach, 85%, and it's Austin, will be retired forever.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'll be done. That'll be done. That will definitely be done. And then this is the other one. I didn't realize this. JD, you're right. Did you see Sean Miller's appearance on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson at age 14? I didn't remember that part. He was so good at basketball as a youngster. He did make an appearance. It wasn't quite like the Tiger Woods on Johnny Carson. I don't think he was that young, but yeah, 14 years old. Catch. He did
the Tiger story from the weekend.
I did see the Tiger story from the weekend. Yes, I did. That's strange bedfellows, but you know what? You know what happens, Catch? It's a simple little rule. No matter how famous you are and how weirdly connected you are, if your kids go to school together and y'all see each other in the pickup line, sometimes you end up in relationships.
Well, look, we know Tiger has a type.
Well, that's true too. Tiger's kind of into hot blondes. That's kind of his deal.
And if the last name just happens to share the name of the president, hey man, I don't think that has ever stopped Tiger Woods when it comes. If Perkins didn't stop Tiger Woods, that won't stop him either.
It's interesting though that she kept the name, right? Normally that wouldn't happen, but because she used to be married to, was it Eric or Donald Jr.?
I feel like that's common.
She was married to Eric or Donald Jr.?
I don't even know.
Yeah, she was married to one of them, but I would assume, obviously you can keep any name you want.
I just assumed it wasn't his daughter.
Yeah, it's the former daughter-in-law that now Tiger Woods is dating. She's got one kid or two. Or no, she's got one kid, I think.
The thing is, Tiger's got a type. I didn't have to click on the story. I knew.
And Catch, her kid is like playing tournaments with Charlie. Apparently her kid's a badass golfer too.
Well, hey, here's to nothing but happiness for those crazy kids.
That's a wacky relationship.
Are you ready for buy or sell?
Just waiting to happen. Yes, as we cross over the 1 o'clock, I'm ready to do a little
because I gotta cover this women's game.
All right, fair enough. You want to go first or second?
I'll go first. I have all 5 questions ready to go.
All right.
Buy or sell number 1. Sean Miller to Texas is a grade of a B, not an A.
That's a buy for me. I mean, you laid it out, the last part of the career and kind of where it's been. I think it's a good, solid hire, but not quite an A based on where he is. I think it could turn into that, but right now it feels like a B.
What if this hire had happened 2 years ago? Is it any different?
And I mean, it might be maybe a B plus at that point. Might feel
because you're getting Miller. He wouldn't have gone to the Sweet 16 at Xavier yet. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Yeah, right now it feels like a B. I think you got that right.
All right, buy or sell number 2. Texas can't win a single NCAA tournament game remaining on the women's side if Madison Booker isn't at least very, very good in the game. I'm not going so far as to say great because she had 20 and 14 in the opener, but she's the SEC Player of the Year.
She is. I will sell for just this next game. Once they get past today's game, she would need to be that every single game. I think they can get by an 8 seed playing at home if she's not very, very good.
You're probably right. Although we'll see, and literally right now, Tennessee beating Ohio State. When those two teams played earlier this season, I don't remember thinking to myself, man, sure would be fun to see Texas and Tennessee play in an NCAA tournament game.
I know. That's old school right there. That's going to make me think of Jody and Pat, man, if Texas and Tennessee get after it in women's hoops.
Buy or sell number 3, Texas baseball. The new bar in 2025 on the fly, hosting a super regional. They're now the number 3 team in the country in Baseball America.
Yeah, that's a buy. I think it's a good resetting of it. Yeah, that feels about right because then you're going to you host a super regional means you are one of the top 8 teams in the country, and obviously you get through a regional. So, yep, that's a good new bar. Absolutely.
I mean, we know the bar at Texas baseball is reaching the College World Series, but year 1 of a coach given.
Yeah, right. Considering that somebody else, the media said they were 8th in the SEC. Like,
we can't, if they have a very, very good but not great season, we can't then relitigate it midway through and say, whoa, it's national championship or bust. Well, no, it's not how, no. So, okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Buy or sell number 4. I'm curious about this.
Mm-hmm.
Buzz Williams is a damn good college basketball coach.
Sell. I would take out the damn. One, because you know how much I hate swearing. And 2, he's a good college basketball coach. I don't know if he's damn good. I just that team gets a little too clunky at times for me to say damn good. But I think he's a good college basketball coach.
I mean, he's in the top 1% of his craft in the world, right?
Top 1%?
Yeah, of all basketball coaches all over the world, that a head coach at a major college program. I mean, how many coaches are there in the world? Basketball coaches.
Right. I mean, that's, he's certainly in the upper echelon. I don't know if I'd go all the way to top 1%. No.
I mean, he's had success at multiple programs, right? So he's not like
he has
a guy that we think caught lightning in a bottle and is a bit of a fluke.
No, he's not that. He's not that.
I think you're falling under Texas basketball fans' delusion where we're not respecting how good these guys are and how tough the job is. But nevertheless, you unfair bastard. Buy number 5. It's a prime on prime, hotter than White Lotus season 3 style. Michelle Mahoney. Thank you. I always say that wrong.
Maybe?
In her prime, which I'm not quite sure I even know what that is. Hotter than Parker Posey in her prime.
Definitely a buy for me. Multiple reasons. One, the bullying nature of Parker Posey in Dazed and Confused still gives me nightmares. But B, and most importantly, Michelle's beautiful, and the prime I'm thinking, I don't know if it's the prime, but a movie that I'm thinking of right now, she's something. So I'm buying. I'm going to go with Michelle.
Well, what movie are you thinking?
I am a fan of this kind of a lesser weird movie with her and Shia LaBeouf called Eagle Eye. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where all the electronics start to take over, and she and Shia LaBeouf have to travel together. And she looks incredible in that movie. So
what I find interesting is she was in True Detective like a decade ago. Maybe it was even more. Is that season?
Wow. Which season of True Detective was she in?
Well, that was 2. She was Woody's husband, wife. And remember, he was having the affair with.
Wow. She was in season 1 with Woody and McConaughey?
Was that season 1?
Wasn't it season 1? Yeah, those guys were 1. Wow. Yeah. I'd forgotten about that. Okay.
She's the wife that's semi-flirting with Matthew McConaughey, with Cole, but and she ends up leaving Woody's character. I'm just getting all the names wrong. Rust, right?
I apologize for being distracted by that woman who ended up on the couch. I'm so sorry to Michelle for being distracted by that other woman.
I mean, she gets it. That's the thing. In that show, they framed her as not the hot one.
Right.
In this series, 13 years later, she's the hot one amongst all her friends. I think it's funny. And that even in the show, against the young women in that show, she's the hot one, but when the younger version of herself was judged. What is that woman's name? I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about.
I do. I just don't remember her name. All right, Catch, let's get these done, and then we'll get you off to watching the basketball.
She's Maggie in True Detective season 1.
Maggie, that's it. There it is. All right, Catch, we were on the literal same page with the first one. Buy or sell number 1, Sean Miller is a B higher for you.
It's better than a B minus. I'm hovering on it's a B plus. Somewhere kind of in there.
Yep. I agree.
But he's really good. And if compared against what was in place previously, it's a significant upgrade.
All right, Catch, buy or sell number 2. You're about to watch it. Texas women will win by 12 plus today, beat Tennessee, then face Notre Dame for a trip to the Final Four.
I wonder if the 12 plus margin happens, but Sure, that feels like a coin flip, but it does the rest of it. Boy, that Tennessee game is going to be difficult, but I think they'll get through it. And then the Notre Dame, yes, I think that I'm more concerned about whether or not they win today by 12 or more, but I think everything else is going to happen.
Let me just also remind everybody that the 2 seed that will play Notre Dame is Haley Van Lith and TCU. Just mentioning it. I'm just going to point it out because I don't think she should be overlooked. All right, Catch, buy or sell number 3. You are level 10 shocked that Texas baseball took the series from LSU and Aggie baseball is 0-6 in the SEC.
Sell. Level 10? That's me like falling out of my chair, fainting, shocked.
I don't know. I felt some falling going on this weekend myself. That could be more of a personal thing for me.
I'm not shocked that they took 2 out of 3. I mean, even when they're not great, winning Texas baseball, winning 2 out of 3 at home against almost anybody feels not shocking. A&M being
the combo of the two. It's a shock sandwich. It's all of it at once.
No, I'm not maxed out at I don't know how to handicap it, but it's not a 10.
Okay. It's not a 10. Okay. Let's go to a birthday catch, a couple of them. First off, The Undertaker is 60 today. Shout out to the Big U. I'll give you a prime on prime match. You know the opponent you want him to face, and you know the type of match.
I mean, I feel bad because if The Undertaker doesn't make it to 70, we may look back and go, well, a human body may only supposed to survive this long when it's done these things.
Mm-hmm. Hey, look, this is all fantasy land. This match will not hurt him at all. This is a fantasy prime on prime.
So, well then, yeah, man, give me whatever version of Foley we want to call it. I don't care if you call him Cactus Jack. I don't care if he's Mick. I don't care. Mankind. You do what you got to do. But I'll take Hell in a Cell and let those two just be rabid animals and throw themselves off of things.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Happy birthday to The Undertaker. I think I would have gone.
Do you remember how you felt when you saw that, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's my favorite. It's my favorite match of all time.
Okay.
The answer for me here would be Shawn Michaels, but I get what you're saying. There's not a wrong answer if you're going to put him in.
There's no match that's ever made me feel like that match made me feel. Yeah. So if I could go back and have them do some version of that, but not the exact same thing, but give us a facsimile of that all over again. I mean, that is the wrestling dopamine hit.
Yeah.
That is, I have never had recreated.
They had great matches, man. We just go back and get one more. There's nothing wrong with that. And finally, Catch, I feel like in a way I'm asking this one on behalf of your wife, but here we go. Buy or sell number 5. Kelly LeBrock is 65 today. If you could make a woman with your computer, you'd make her Asian. Buy or sell?
I feel like you guys are trying to like really talk this into existence. And then I'm not going to blame if I end up like having an affair with a hot Asian woman.
Just checking for a friend. Just checking for a friend.
I feel like I have some people here need to have my back and say, Catch, you kept trying to downplay it. You kept trying to say it wasn't a thing, and they willed it into existence. God, I've never thought about this before. If I had to make a woman on a computer, who would I make?
I mean, like, would it end up being more of a Keira Knightley type? You're a big fan there. Would it be like
my default is Keira Knightley.
Right. Would you make a Elle McPherson-ish kind of woman?
Could I make Keira Knightley just with like 10 more pounds?
Hey, take the pound knob and just turn it up 10 times.
I want beautiful Keira.
10 up.
I just, I want to, and I don't want them all to be boobs, but like, distribute it somewhat equal.
Not all in her chest, Bill.
Exactly. Look, because I know exactly. I'm not trying to give Keira a boob job, but kind of.
Bill's always trying to put 5 pounds in each one every time. Damn you, Bill.
I might make Keira a B cup.
I just, I
And
don't
look,
know.
if Kira loved me and wanted to make a version of me, she might make a skinnier version. So, like, I get it.
It
We
would
want
all
to
even,
be optimal. We're optimizing.
it would all even out. That's what you're saying. In the
Yeah.
end. Oh my God. Happy birthday to Kelly LeBrock today. And if y'all haven't seen Weird Science, you need to check it out. All right, Catch, you
I'm
go.
gonna think about this the rest of the day now.
See, you could, yeah, then you can give me a full answer on another show. You can talk to me about what you will make.
Will you ask me about this tomorrow? Remind me.
There's no show tomorrow that you're on.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Wednesday, I'll ask you about it. Wednesday, I will ask you about it. Right now, though, you go watch that women's game. I got to pay a bill or two real quick and close it out. But you go watch the women's game and tell Vic Schaefer.
10-9, Texas early. 2:53 left in the first quarter. Going to a TV timeout.
10-9. Nail biter. Nail biter.
And I was looking at the score and like 12 plus, Chad. Well, it's 4-2 early on. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair. All right.
Later, people.
Have a good day. I'll talk to you Wednesday. Remember, Wednesday will be the next show for Catch. Football with Friends tonight at 6. Anwar's got the Old Fashioned at 9. And we've got the special Modcast tomorrow at noon. Catch taking those administrative days on Tuesday to, keep Orange Bloods running smoothly and all that good stuff. If you guys want to throw a super chat at us. Oh, and there is one. Here we go. We'll grab that one. Don't see another one right now. But on the way out here, let's give some love to some of our other partners, including Specs. The weekend has come and gone. You may need to get stocked up at Specs. Here's Lisa and a whole bunch of choices.
As a Texas family-owned business, we know you don't mess with Texas. And you won't find more ways to raise a glass of Texas-made cheer than right here. So whatever you're planning, we're ready to get you ready. Because at Specs, the fun's.
Now I know why I never see Lisa when I go to Specs, because I don't go down the wine aisles normally. There's the vodka part of the store, there's the whiskey part of the store, and then there's the crafty beer. The aficionados of ale do this when you do it too. It really helps. Those are the three parts of the Specs that I will check out. All right, let's grab this super chat. It's from Tracy, $5 super chat. What happens first in oh Lord, here we go. What happens first in baseball? Texas sweep or A&M wins a series? Also, your favorite George Foreman moment. Oh man, Tracy, that last part's easy for me. I'll get to it in a second. What happens first in baseball? A Texas sweep or A&M wins a series? Yeah, I was kind of taking a peek at both of those schedules coming up. Man, I'll just play the math and say A&M wins a series. Maybe I'm just hoping above all else. Aggies have some interesting trips coming up, interesting series, tough trips coming up, and wow. I mean, to start 0-6, just not expected at all for that team. As far as George Foreman goes, rest in peace to the great George Foreman. First off, I was a George Foreman grill fan and user. I would not have gotten through my first little time as a person on my own in my own place without the George Foreman grill. Oh, I cooked up plenty of good for me chicken because the stuff had run off. George, thank you for that. But Tracy, sports-wise for me, it's Foreman Holyfield. When Foreman got the title that night from Michael Moore, it was awesome. That's the moment that would be like the most shocking. But for me, I think George Foreman was like 42, somewhere in there, when he fought Evander Holyfield. And those two dudes stood in the phone booth and wailed for, I think it went, I want to say they stopped it in the 11th. Y'all can double check me on that. If you have never seen Foreman Holyfield, it's something. Evander got him. Evander beat him. Boy, George Foreman stood there. Both those guys, God love them. Both those guys could dish out and deal with punishment so well. That's one of my favorite fights ever. And the fact that George Foreman was able to do that in his 40s was just silly. So rest in peace to the great George Foreman. Also just the silliness and the brashness to have multiple sons and name them all George Jr. Like that's a level of ego I just have to to tip my cap to you. So that's just fantastic. All right. Also, thank you guys for the super chats. If you want to throw one more in, we can grab that. Going to get some of that 1835 they showed later today. There you go, Banks. Hit your local specs and get that taken care of. Also, speaking of getting things taken care of, before I get out of here, let's talk about sinus and snoring specialists, because I'm getting my physical this week. It is that time of year for me to get the annual physical, and it always makes me think of, making sure things are taken care of. It's not something you want to think about, but you got to get in there. You got to get the physicals done, get things taken care of. And for a lot of you, you may know you have sleep stuff going on. You may know you're snoring. So make sure you're mentioning that stuff when you go to get the physical. Your doctor may recommend, hey, let's get you to an ENT. Let's get you to that. Well, what's ear, nose, and throat? Let's get you to somebody who knows that stuff, and they'll do a sleep test and they'll figure out what's going on. Of course, my recommendation is sinus and snoring specialist, 601-0303. You can call them. You can text them securely as well on that number, or you can go to sinussnoringent.com. I went in there in 2017. I wish I'd gone sooner. And I knew I was a snorer for years, and I just kind of let it go. I shouldn't have. And you shouldn't either, especially if you're where I am now, into your 50s. Maybe you're into your 60s. You know you snore. People are telling you, whoever your bed partner is tells you snore, and they can hear you stop breathing. You need to get that looked at. You don't need to continue to let that get worse. So take care of yourselves this spring. Get the sinus and snoring specialist. Tell them you heard about it here on OB Live. Mention my name if you like. I do appreciate that. It certainly does help, and I know that they will help you. Sinus and snoring specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy, which is important, and certainly is how we would describe that Texas baseball team right now. Super, super healthy. Aggie baseball, not feeling healthy right now after an 0-6 start. By the way, we are 32 days away. This week, we're going to hit 30 days until Texas hosts A&M in baseball. What's your expectation for that series turned into, Texas fans? Good grief. Are you going to be pissed if you just win it? Like, is it going to be a sweep demand by the time you get to that series? It's going to be incredible to see what happens there. All right. I don't see any other super chats. We appreciate you guys jumping in and getting that. The women's game is underway. I'm going to go check it out just like the rest of you are, I assume. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit tomorrow. The modcast is tomorrow at 12. Again, Anwar at 9 a.m. tomorrow with the old fashioned, and football with friends this afternoon at 6 p.m. Even though it's not official, welcome to Austin, Sean Miller. I like the move. Texas basketball fans, feels a little more real. You got to get a coach with that name recognition, with the facial recognition. When they see him in a suit at the game, got to know who he is. Is it super, super sizzly? Not really. It's not that. But Sean Miller, I think today, Ketch said it probably better than I did today, but he said a damn good basketball coach. I think that is a good way to describe him. And deep down, I probably should have described Buzz Williams the same way. They're probably both that. Damn good basketball coaches. Maybe they don't get enough respect. There's little rough edges to both of them in a way. But I've always liked Sean Miller. When I see those teams play, I wouldn't feel disappointed if I was a fan and that became my coach. So I would tell you, Texas fans, to get pretty excited about it. Let's see how Sean Miller and the Moody Center get along. And can you get some big-time recruits in? And can you play some good offensive basketball? You guys have waited too damn long to see good offensive basketball. And yes, on the way out, thank you, Michael. Smash that like button. If you didn't like it on the way in, we would appreciate it if you like it on the way out. It does make a difference. Like, subscribe, get those notifications, and we will talk to you tomorrow right here on